Hi and hello and happy holidays, my fellow football Americans. Welcome to NFL Week 17. Welcome to round 2 of the college football playoff. Welcome to Football America. We're presented as ever by our pals over there at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Merry Christmas belatedly. There's nothing worse, though, than somebody who wishes you Merry Christmas or any evident holiday as soon as the holiday has come and gone. And here. It's still happy holidays time because we still have the New Year's celebration. But there's nothing worse than seeing a commercial for Christmas the day after Christmas. We're 364 days away from it. I don't want to get Scroogey right out of the gate, though. We have to get you right for NFL Week 17 at minimum. If we have time, we'll talk about round 2. The U in Ohio State is the first one up in round 2 of the college football playoff. Travis Kelce's career appears to be nearing an end. Bo Nix and those Denver Broncos just getting started. So too is Caleb Williams and Drake May, and we have to talk about all of those cats. Lamar Jackson may or may not be out there. It's tracking that he is not going to be out there in Lambeau on Saturday night. Critical for the AFC North. DK Metcalfe, we know, is not going to be out there in Cleveland on Sunday. We'll see how relevant that is based on what happens in that game between the Packers and Ravens. Much hash to be settled. We have Jonathan Zaslow on the way. As a matter of fact, I think he's showing up as we speak here very quickly. Happy holidays to you, Gino Fuentes. I like the spirit of it, fella. You're boozing already, as you should be here on the day after Christmas. Good for you. What are you drinking, friend?
Bailey's and coffee.
Okay. I should get me one of them. I should be bending the elbow along with you. There's Soup Campbell up there. Where are you? The Pacific Northwest somewhere,
yeah,
right?
We're in
Portland?
the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, we're in the Coast Range of Oregon right now.
To kick things off here as I'm about to bellyache about Christmas a little bit. You've been listening to him, I hope, the last 24, 48 hours. He has not taken off a second for the holidays, it seems. Jonathan Zaslow's show 2.0 is rolling. You know him, obviously, on the Le Batard show and all over ESPN. That's what he was doing. I think you just left doing that to join us here. It's Jonathan Zaslow. What's the poop, fella? How are you?
Hello, Dave. I'm good. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. Good to see you guys. I'm glad to hang out and talk some football.
It's a pleasure. You know, the Super Bowl kicks off in, I don't know what, like 6 weeks, 7 weeks from now. And then everybody always does the thing when they refer to the Academy Awards. They're like, this is the Super Bowl of movies. But I think Christmas is the Super Bowl of society. Right? So it's like there's a letdown today because society just had its whole Super Bowl celebration. Mine was pretty good. I hope yours was too, Zaz. You were working for most of it. Yeah, I mean, you don't really honor in your home the Christmas holiday, do you?
We don't honor the Christmas holiday. It does not get any honor in the Zaslow mansion. We celebrate 8 crazy nights of Hanukkah, and as a result, since we don't honor the Christmas holiday, I have to pay that Jewish tax. The Jewish tax is I had to work 5 hours on Christmas last night on ESPN radio. I have to cover for all my Christmas celebrating brethren and co-workers. That's called the Jewish tax. So we were celebrating Christmas on the network last night.
Did you eat well?
Did I eat well?
Did you do Chinese food? I mean, talk about the Jewish tradition on Christmas. That is it.
Yeah, I had I had falafel. All right. You know what falafel is? That is not a normal Christmas meal, but we had some great falafel in the Zaslow Mansion fridge, and I decided, you know what? Let's get after it. So we had falafel and pita. You put some of that tzatziki sauce on it. That's a great meal.
All right, we have a lot of games we have to dig in on, Zaz, Week 17, critical ones at that. A lot of people are lamenting that there aren't some great races at the bottom chunk of both conferences to see who can sneak in for that 7 seed. More important, though, is who gets the 1 seed, and those races are active and ongoing, and so we're going to make our picks there. I want to tell you this. Mine was a pretty magical Christmas. We went, and on the 22nd, we went, because the weather allowed for it out here in Southern California, we went and rode the coasters at Six Flags, and look who I found on the bench sitting next to me. We were waiting. The little ones were doing some kiddie rides, and we were just hanging out on the bench, and look who came along and sat next to me. It's Jesus.
Is that Jesus?
It's
Lego Jesus.
It's Lego Jesus. Now, I don't know. I think so. I'm pretty sure it's that Jesus. Here's the question I have for you guys right out of the gate. He sat there. He was sitting there, and I was like, I guess he should come with me.
Yeah.
Was it wrong for me to take him off the amusement park bench, or was that theft? No answers.
Someone there left him for you to take.
That's how I take it. That was just the first of my celebrity sightings around Christmas. I also was out shopping a couple of days ago and saw in the same mall at the same time within the span of like 90 seconds, I saw Breckin Meyer, the skateboarder kid from Clueless, and then I saw lead singer of Kiss, Paul Stanley.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then on Christmas Eve, I saw out and about doing some shopping, John C. Reilly. Which is the best sighting, Jonathan Zaslow?
Well, I mean, it's definitely, no offense, Breckin Meyer. It's not Breckin Meyer, okay? I don't know if I would recognize Breckin Meyer these days. John C. Reilly's a pretty good one. I think I go John C. Reilly.
I told him, listen, it's the holidays. I'm not one to get in the way of celebrities when they're out and about in the wild, but I did make an exception, and I said, "You're the best, man." I said, "You're the best. Merry Christmas to you." That's it. That I didn't think that was a violation of his time too much. But I do think that the people who are expressing hate towards Christmas, people are like, I'm sick of it all. These are the same people who hate the Beatles. Like, if you don't like the Beatles, then you just don't like, then you don't like music, because the Beatles did all kinds of, if you don't like Christmas, then you don't like anything, because you can do whatever you want. It's the holiday after all, right?
You know what? Let me tell you something that bothers me around Christmas time. All right. We as a society have gotten all caught up in the whole, no, not Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You want to be inclusive to everyone, right? I'm a Jewish person. I don't celebrate Christmas. I never have celebrated Christmas. If I'm out and about and you say Merry Christmas to me, I say thank you. Merry Christmas right back.
Of course.
What's wrong with telling me Merry? You don't know what holiday I celebrate. The majority of people celebrate Christmas. And it literally is, it's the thought that counts. Okay, you're not aware that I don't celebrate Christmas. You're still wishing me to it means have a great holiday. You say Merry Christmas to me, I'm gonna say thank you so much. Merry Christmas right back. I don't need you to say Happy Holidays. There's nothing wrong with telling everybody out there on Christmas Eve, whatever. There's nothing wrong with wishing people a Merry Christmas.
Of course not. But now that we have moved past Christmas, and now New Year's is all that stands between us and, well, not us, because now that I'm in Southern California, it's not so dire. But I used to always say winter was great until January 2nd. Then darkness, emotionally, not just physically when you look up early. But now it's Happy Holidays, because Christmas is in the rear view mirror. So now we got to go Happy Holidays for the next few days here. What I do have to say before it gets away from us here, I don't love the rolling discussion. I find it a little tired at this point of, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I was past that by the end of the aughts, I think, in this 21st century. More vexing to me remains, though, to be Dave the hypocrite here. People want to talk about, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? By the way, obviously it is. The whole movie is about, has Christmas running through it. So obviously that's settled hash. So too is this, but I have to bellyache about it once again. We threw on Zaz. You have the little ones at home. Did you watch Santa Claus is Coming to Town when they were still little? It's the origin story of Santa with the red beard and everything.
That stuff's not appointment television, again, because Christmas doesn't get honored in the Zaslow Mansion. But we've seen all of that stuff, like Christmas Story, of course. What a movie. So, Dave, it's not any kind of tradition, but yeah, we've seen all the Santa Claus, all the Christmas stuff, sure.
Well, that's good. That's a good movie. What's a bad one is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which starts out with the birth of Rudolph and his red nose. And I've always gone in on Donner, his father, because Rudolph is born in the cave, And immediately, like, we'll call him Rudolph, says Donner. They declare, and then his nose turns bright, and Donner panics immediately. The baby has been born like 41 seconds ago, and immediately, like, oh no, what are we going to do? Santa can't see this red nose. And what I realized is the crime of Donner is that he's a cuck. He's pathetic, but really it's about Santa, who is clearly a jerk of a boss, and then sure enough, Santa shadows the door. Like this special intimate moment interrupted by the boss man showing up. I have to check out this new reindeer to see if his nose turns red. He's like, well, he'll never fly in my sleigh, not with that nose. And then he launches into a song about himself. And then he's like, I am old Kris Kringle, I'm the king of jingle. Like what? Hey, we're trying to celebrate the birth of our first child, Fats. What are you doing? And denouncing him. And then, what is it any wonder that all the other kids wouldn't let him play their reindeer games? Not after the big guy what was bellyaching about him a minute into his life. Of course, the children are in Santa. And now the whole story plays out, and now it's a bad night out on Christmas night. And now what are we going to do? Christmas is going to Won't you fly my sleigh tonight? I just wish Rudolph would have said, screw. You shouldn't have mouthed off to me when you did, but what's done is done, and now Christmas is canceled for everybody. So Donner moves down in the rankings, and Santa is number one on the biggest jerk of Christmas 2025. How say you, Zaz?
I mean, you put up a legitimate argument there, but Hans Gruber. I mean, number one.
Yeah.
Hans Gruber, number one worst guy on Christmas. I mean, come on, get me my detonators and find me McClane. I mean, and he tricked John McClane, all right, when they were upstairs together, and then told his guys to shoot the glass. So John McClane's got to walk on the glass, on the shards of glass. And, of course, he shot Takagi in the head and also killed Ellis. I mean, Ellis was just trying to have a great Christmas party.
Don't let Ellis off the hook. Ellis off the hook.
I mean, a little bit of yayo under the nose when John McClane arrived. All right, he's just trying to have a good time. But I hear you. You don't want to let Ellis off the hook. I get it. But
why is Takagi so? Here's a good question. Why is Takagi so cool with Ellis, though? Like, Takagi's running the ship here.
It's true.
And his right-hand man is a cokehead. And, because McClane says to him, you missed the spot. Takagi's standing right there.
And
he hears
care.
the whole thing. Takagi doesn't care? You're cool with this? That this is the face? Because clearly that's how Ellis perceives himself.
Yep.
He is the face of Takagi Tech, Industries, whatever. By the way, next time you watch it, which I guess won't be until next Christmas time, everybody within the sound of my voice, take note, Takagi is I assume he was the architect of the facility that was under construction that he and Hans Gruber look at just, minutes before Takagi takes one in the head. When they're looking at it, the people who built SoFi stole the design of Takagi. Look at Look at it. It is exactly SoFi Stadium. Takagi. They should take away the name SoFi, call it Takagi Dome.
Wow. I will check that out. By the way, Gino, what a hat you're wearing today. Look at that hat. That's a beautiful looking hat.
I'm a company man, says.
Excellent.
That is fantastic.
On the other side of that, and then we can do some more Game of Life related stuff. But first things first, Lamar Jackson, like I said, doubtful for Saturday night. Now some soap opera drama now making the pages in Baltimore and beyond. Lamar and John Harbaugh tracking towards a divorce. There's some whispers now loud. Now people just saying it out loud. Lamar isn't trying hard enough. He spends too much time playing video games late into the night. The Ravens are changing practice schedules to accommodate Lamar. They're scheduling him later in the afternoon. Like we've talked about here on the show, it does feel to me that Lamar is in need of that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mid-career adjustment to his style of play. The results are in. He is a spectacular talent. The Ravens are generally pretty good so long as he's in the lineup. The issue, number one, is he's not in the lineup as consistently as he needs to be. And obviously, they're not making the Super Bowl this year. They still have a chance, though. I feel like people are making certain assumptions as though the novel of the NFL season is finished. And we don't know if they've won the AFC North. It only seems like they're going to. And we were talking just before we got going here about Trevor Lawrence. All the doubters, they've gone out the window now. Trevor Lawrence has arrived. See, everybody, take it back. Has he? It's only week 17 in the regular season. He's got to deliver come January for this to be a full turnaround. So what do you think about, first of all, I guess issue number one is Lamar Jackson. He's not going to be out there on Saturday night. And then DK Metcalfe's not going to be out there on Sunday for the Steelers. I'm throwing a lot at you here. I guess let's jump right to the end here with the DK Metcalfe thing, because I think that's maybe the biggest story going right now is fan rights versus player rights are, touching a fan. The fan held a press conference on Friday morning saying, I said nothing racist, which is pathetic that the guy showed up in a suit and with his hat on backwards and all of that. But that was what DK Metcalfe led with, was he was racial slurs, and apparently there's no evidence of that happening. So where do you come down on the 2-game suspension and all the rest of it?
Well, we'll start with DK, right? So there's no reason DK should have been in that situation, because it's not like the NBA where you're on the bench and you got the fan right behind you saying something, and it's all right there and it's all happening in real time. You're DK Metcalfe. You're a player on an NFL sideline. You have to make a real effort to go over and have an interaction with a fan who is sitting in the stands, even if they're in the front row. There's no reason for DK Metcalfe to be anywhere near the fan, especially once he hears that the fan is saying stupid stuff. Like, hey, the NBA player loves telling security and kicking fans out of the building. Like, DK, if this guy is actually saying the things that you're saying he's saying, and if he's been accused of stalking you in the past when you were in Seattle, hey, go tell the security. They'll get rid of him immediately. There's no reason that he needed to be anywhere near that fan. So I think DK got lucky that it was just 2 games. Heck, if there were 4 games left in the season, maybe he would have gotten 4 games instead of 2 games, So I think he's lucky that he got just the 2 games.
Well, here's the other thing, Zaz. The part that people are skipping right past is the Steelers got lucky, because had the on-field refs seen that in real time, they would have tossed DK Metcalfe. You can't be touching fans during the game. He would have gotten yanked right there. I think for the people arguing 2 games is too severe, which I agree with. It's too many, but I think it's sort of the opposite of the Jalen Carter thing that started this season when he spit on, who did he spit on? Dak Prescott. Man.
Yeah.
Sheesh, boy, long time ago since the football season started. But yes, Jalen Carter, they said like time served.
Yeah.
He got kicked out of that game, so that's kind of like suspending him for a game. And I think that's why DK Metcalfe got 2 games, not 1, because they should have kicked him out, and they understand that they missed it in real time. And in that case, if they had, I think the Steelers maybe lose that game, as tight as it was against the Lions. And now we're having very different conversations about Detroit and Pittsburgh right now. So I think on that level, at least, the Steelers dodged a bullet to not have DK Metcalfe yanked out. But the other element of it too is the whole premise of the reason the Steelers had to get away from George Pickens was because he wasn't behaving himself in game and otherwise. I mean, if this does lead to, listen, if Snoop Huntley and company lose in Lambeau, it's all moot. But if the Ravens win that game, and then the Steelers have the all-time, like, you cannot lose to the Cleveland Browns. In this spot, you just absolutely can't lose this game. But now we don't have the only wide receiver on a pro football team who actually receives passes available to you. If you lose that game, and now you go to Week 18 against the Ravens, without DK Metcalfe once again, and now you lose to Baltimore. What's the difference between George Pickens and DK Metcalfe? Selfish behavior, right?
Totally.
I mean, I'm not to say they're going to cut him or anything
you're right.
like that, but isn't it kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul ultimately?
No, that would be quite
did?
the story where you get rid of George Pickens because you're afraid of his behavior, and you bring aboard a guy who, if the scenario that you just laid out plays out that way, cost you your season. While George Pickens, by all intents and purposes, has been perfectly well behaved with the Dallas Cowboys this year. As far as the fan in Detroit,
well, reasonably well behaved. I mean, he's had a couple of little dust ups, but yeah, he's had a couple of little things going on. Yeah, he had to he had a thing where he had to have a conversation with Brian Schottenheimer afterwards because he was a little out of bounds. But listen, obviously, diva wide receivers are not a new thing in pro football. So, and by the way, the other element of it is that Mike Tomlin's whole thing is it deals with ne'er-do-wells better than anybody else, but somehow he couldn't deal with George Pickens. Very strange.
And as far as the fan goes, I don't know how the fan hasn't been banned. I really don't. Whether he said a racial slur or whatever you said, there's no reason for you to be wearing a stupid blue wig, standing in any sort of activity with any of the players. All right. I'm stunned that he has not been banned. It's such loser behavior. Again, I don't care what he said. I don't get the idea of going to a sporting event and you're going to have a back and forth just because you have great seats and you're going to have back and forth with a player. I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be so ashamed to be caught on television having some type of back and forth with a professional athlete. I'm a grown man. I don't know how this fan has not been banned. It is such loser behavior. I hate it.
Yes, that is a perfect comment though. Just have the professional athlete just pull a Westbrook. I mean, he gets fans kicked out for saying something as anodyne as Westbrook. It's like just have the guy. Hey, this guy's been following me. It's kind of creepy. Can we just get this guy out of here?
It was
let
really
the security guards completely remove him. And then I would be remiss if right now I don't say, remember to like and subscribe to Football America on all socials and Football America YouTube.
Sue Campbell.
And by the way, let me also add how worthless the security guards were there. There were two security guards in their red security guard shirts watching the whole thing unfold, doing absolutely nothing. There was also a police officer. Yeah. She was standing right there as well, doing nothing. There's an altercation with a player, a high-profile player, and a fan, and a police officer just watching it, doing
You're
nothing.
The guy in between. Yeah.
So worthless.
The people who are apologizing for DK Metcalfe are saying that their lead argument is like, he didn't hit him that hard. He didn't really catch him. First of all, he grabs this civilian who's a complete pain in the ass and an embarrassment as a grown-up. I completely agree with all that. But okay, what are you doing in the middle of a game that your team really needs to win, DK Metcalfe, and you're grabbing a fan in the stands and pulling him down towards you, and then so you pull him towards you, and then you try to give him the right, which is an interesting move. That's a good street fight move, come to think of it. Pull the guy towards you, and then let go, and then return or give him back.
Well, that's a hockey fight move.
Yeah, right.
You give him the jab with the hand that you're holding onto the jersey.
Yeah.
But
it's okay. So he misses him a little bit, and because he doesn't turn his lights out, the crime is a little more forgivable. How about this? Don't attempt assault on a player in a game that your team really needs to have. Either way, if this Week 18 game in Pittsburgh has high stakes, namely the AFC North on the line for both sides, I kind of feel like it does take Baldwin and Glengarry, Glenn Ross kind of thing, like second place, but not third place, second place in this case, you're fired. John Harbaugh, people are talking about it sounds like people are ready to run him out of Charm City. But if the Steelers, it's hard to conceive of, and the Steelers aren't going to fire him, however whatever terminology you apply, like they decided to part ways or they didn't pick up his contract beyond 2026, and so he's decided to leave the Steelers, whatever. If the Steelers lose to the Browns and then lose to the Ravens, I think that is not just in play. I think that is what's going to end up happening. I just hope that it's a moot point, like I say. Should we start picking some games here now?
Yes.
All right, let's do it. One more question though for you, as I contradict myself before we start doing doing our picks here. It's the thing I talk about endlessly. Is the math does not allow for Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow to all win Lombardi trophies. Do you think, first question as far as that goes, Travis Kelce, I think, has one more game left, and then it's on to podcasting and marriage and all the rest of it. Do you think Patrick Mahomes is done winning Lombardis? Does he get one more in his career?
It's funny you bring that up. So I talked about this, and I think there's a better chance of him not winning again than winning. So yeah, I think my answer is I don't think he's going to win again. And it's why the whole, he's on his way to catching Brady. Seven? You talk about seven, like he's already won 3 Super Bowls, which is an incredible amount of Super Bowls. Brady's one of one, man. Like I keep hearing this, he got the ACL injury now. Remember, Brady got the ACL, and then he went to his second Hall of Fame career of his career. And it's like, yeah, that's one guy ever. It's not happening again the way Brady went about it. I don't think Mahomes wins again. I don't.
It's interesting because there's something about the eye test that endured through all of the Lombardis Tom Brady won, which is it doesn't add up because he was never the most dynamic player on the field, and it felt like Belichick had a big hand in it and all of that, and then he washes off Belichick and then does it in one season, goes down to Tampa, vanquishes Aaron Rodgers. But I think we want to be witness in the moment to be every generation thinks their guy's the best player, right? Everybody always wants that, and that is true right now. And so if Patrick Mahomes wins that Super Bowl in February, he would be held up right now as the greatest of all time. And I also think if somehow Aaron Rodgers ran the table, I don't think he's going to, but if he did and won the Super Bowl somehow, he would then ascend in the rankings to like the second or third best quarterback in the history of people as well. We're desperate to apply those stakes to everyone's career. The issue is, Fat Phil Rivers is he's a great story right now, but he's also a harbinger for all these guys in their prime right now, which is, all of you guys are not getting Lombardi trophies. Marino, you talk about one of one, and there was Fran Tarkenton and Jim Kelly, but somehow Dan Marino is by far and away the singular figure of like, boy, sad thing for all of his greatness. He never got that one Lombardi. Guess what? That's going to be true for Lamar Jackson and or Josh Allen and or Joe Burrow. Do you think C.J. Stroud's never getting one? Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence? What about if Matthew Stafford does it? That's one less Lombardi than all those names I just ran off for you have available to them. It's going to be really weird, bottom line, in about a decade from now, how many of these guys you say, oh, you got to give them a gold jacket. Are we still going to be singing that song if these guys don't get Lombardis? I think that is the cut line for everybody can't make the Hall of Fame. So that is going to be the applied standard. Is it not? It's not going to be based on their statistics ultimately.
I think it's completely reasonable what you're saying. It is interesting, though, because a lot of the quarterbacks that we've lost over the last few years, meaning lost, they haven't died, but the ones that aren't playing anymore, they all did. The great quarterbacks who are not playing more, they all did win Super Bowls, right? Where it's Brady and it's both Mannings and it's Roethlisberger and it's soon to be Flacco. Like these guys, they're Breeze. These guys' careers ended, but they all won. Rivers now came back. He was one of them who didn't win, but he came back. He's not going to win still. So it feels like Rivers is the only one of that group of this past generation that did not win anything. But I think you're right. It's too many guys out here that need to win a Super Bowl that just aren't going to be playing long enough to make sure, or at least not be in their prime long enough to make sure that they wind up retiring with a Super Bowl. And even just Jackson, Allen, Burrow, my guess would be at least 2 of those 3 end their careers without a Super Bowl win.
It's wild. And the guy we also didn't mention yet is Justin Herbert. He's another character who I think people sort of said, well, eventually he'll get one. The math does not math out
Drake
for
May
all
now?
these guys. Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, and the guys most likely to get to the Super Bowl this year, I stand by it. We'll see if I'm right in about a month from now. Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Drake May are the most likely in their second seasons to get to the Super Bowl based on 21st century history. Here's one more thing for you. My longstanding idea that now I've heard dozens and dozens and dozens of people say, but as far as I know, I'm the first person to offer up this idea, which is the Loser Bowl. Let's replace the Pro Bowl. Nobody cares about that. In fact, we have a Loser Bowl available here in NFL Week 17. It's the Giants versus the Raiders, both with 2 wins. Whoever loses this game wins, in all likelihood, the first overall draft pick. In springtime, why don't we do this every year? Why don't we just have the 2 worst teams play each other and the winner gets the first overall pick in the draft the following
When do they
spring?
play it? Wild card weekend?
Yeah. Well, no. We play it. I appreciate you taking this seriously enough to try and pin me down on some answers here. We could do it wild card weekend, but wild card weekend, we've now updated that. That is going to be punctuated going forward if you missed it, Zaz. By the number 1 seed going to the podium and announcing as soon as the final wild card game wraps and announcing we choose for the divisional round, our opponent will be Jacksonville.
That's right.
Or San Francisco or whoever you choose. That's going to jazz that up quite a bit. I think it's the week in between the championship games and the Super Bowl. That's when the Pro Bowl is played, and instead now we're going to have a Loser Bowl.
And of course, the Loser Bowl, it's the winner of the Loser Bowl gets the number 1 pick, right?
That's right. And we have the worst band, the worst marching band in the country every year gets to play it.
And who's the halftime show? It's
Creed.
Like Nickelback or Creed or the halftime show.
Right. They do a super group. Yeah, they super group it, something like that. They play it out on a burnt out junior high field like they deserve. This is going to be a great idea once we get it. In the meantime, we'll have to make do with Raiders and Giants. But let's jump in now, shall we, to these Week 17 games. And Eagles, Bills, will start there. It is the NFL countdown, the most consequential games, who's going to win them, and by how much. Eagles, Bills, home team Buffalo laying 1.5 points, 43.5 is the total. Zaz, how do you think this one plays out?
Yeah, I'm not trusting the Eagles right about now. The Bills still have a lot to play for. Yes, they're still alive for the division, but they really want to jump from 6 to 5 in the AFC wild card because that's a major difference. It's the difference between playing potentially at Jacksonville or potentially playing at Pittsburgh. So the Bills desperately want to wind up jumping up to a number 5. The Eagles have a ton to play for as well still, but I just don't trust this Eagles team right now on the road in this spot. I like Buffalo minus 1.5 points.
I'm going the exact opposite of you. I'm going Philly 31-27 to be exact about it. The Eagles have somehow, with the rolling football conversation that we're a part of and love to perpetuate, somehow in this long NFL season, the reigning champs have slipped through the cracks and everybody is ignoring them. They are a viable candidate to get to the Super Bowl once again this year. Take a look at the NFC. They are going to have a tough putt to get there because obviously, almost certainly, they're going to have to win 3 games, 2 road games to get there and all of that. But I do think against this Bills defense, there's a chance to get further right with Jalen Hurts and company. And I do think, I disagree with you that I don't like this Eagles team right now. I do think there are hints that they're starting to turn it around ever so slightly. And the Bills are just completely suspended into a space that they otherwise would not occupy were it not for their superhero quarterback. He's got a bum foot. That all adds up to Philadelphia winning this one for me. And what your larger point is, it's fascinating that the 5 seed, whoever that is going to be favored in Pittsburgh or Baltimore, right? I mean, like whoever that is, Chargers, Bills, Texans, maybe the Jags, probably not, but whoever that is going to be the favored team playing the AFC North champ.
I would imagine Buffalo would be favored by a touchdown in that game.
Wow. I mean,
I could see them favored by 6 points.
I mean, that stands to reason given the hammering they put on the Steelers. But again, that's not settled hash yet. Speaking of which, Steelers at their ancient, not rival, whatever word you want to apply here, hammer v nail, typically. Browns +3 at the time of this recording, which is a slap in the face to the Steelers that they're only catching 3 against Shador and company. 34.5 is your total. Again, this is a pro football game, everybody. 34.5 is your total. How say you, Zaz?
It's, with such a low total, you would like to take the points, all right? I mean, it's not going to be a ton of points scored, so you don't want to bet on there being a lot of separation. But, man, I have to trust that the Steelers come through in this big spot. You're at the Browns. I understand the Browns have a great defense. Myles Garrett, he's still chasing the sack record. I have to believe Pittsburgh does what needs to be done. I'll take the Steelers -3 on the road.
Well, this one is fraught if you're looking to put something down on it right now. I mean, I would encourage you to wait out the Saturday night game in Lambeau, and we'll give you our pick on that one in a second here. But if the Packers take care of Baltimore for the Steelers, then it's likely Mason Rudolph under center, and that means Myles Garrett breaking the sack record against the guy he tried to murder in front of the nation. Oh,
yes! Assault!
Yeah. I mean, he swung a helmet at him, and people want to talk about, you're getting you're a little histrionic, Dave. If that helmet had hit that guy in a bare head, maybe not dead, whatever, if the NFL dodged such a bullet on that one. Imagine if Myles Garrett, one of the biggest stars in the league, just cracked open a quarterback's head.
His head would have been cracked open.
I know this is grim stuff the day after Christmas, but that's what Myles Garrett did. But imagine the completion of that circle. Somehow that's not justice served.
That's a great storyline. I'm rooting for that now, Dave. Not the head being cracked open part, but Myles Garrett trying to get the record against Mason Rudolph. I'm into that storyline.
Yes, I hope Mason Rudolph has enough dignity to, if Myles Garrett gets close to him, to take off Myles Garrett's helmet and hit him in the head with it. Then that would complete the circle. Tough game to pick in the here and now, if it does come down to it, with all the marbles, because the one thing Pittsburgh does not want is to have to beat Baltimore again in a must-win to win the division. It's not exactly, I talk about the curse of supposed to, Zaz, that when you're the team that's supposed to win, that applies extra pressure to you. Without the DK Metcalfe, I don't even know that you would rightly say, well, the Steelers obviously they're obviously supposed to win this game. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they don't have wide receivers who catch passes besides DK Metcalfe. And like we say, he's not going to be on the field there. So let's just hope, if you're rooting for black and gold in week 17, that the Packers take care of business. That's the main event for you. Jags, Colts, Fat Phil Rivers and company, underdogs, +6.5, 48.5 against the rising Jacksonville Jaguars. How say you, Zaz?
I've watched every snap of the Colts the last 2 weeks. I love this Phillip Rivers story. I love watching him out there. Old man Rivers, trying his hardest to throw the ball down the field, just duck after duck. I think the Colts, I think this is a live home dog. I do. I know it could be shocking to people. I think Phillip Rivers, I think he could pull out a win, not just covering here. So give me the Colts +6 at home.
Boy, yeah, it would sort of be justice served cold, revenge. Remember when Carson Wentz and the Colts were about to win the division, all they had to do, or get into the playoffs at minimum, was just go down and beat the bum Jags. It was an afterthought of a game, and then the Jags actually did knock off Carson Wentz and the Colts and knocked them out of the postseason. In a way, at least, this wouldn't knock the Jags out of it, but it would end any chance that they have of getting the number 1 seed or getting the division crown. Or I guess that would put the Texans in the driver's seat at minimum to get that, and a significant difference in the path to get to the Super Bowl at that point. I hear you, man. The Colts on the money line are intriguing. The Jags have had very little resistance, it feels like. Even beating the Broncos, which is the one game I thought they were going to drop. I said 6 weeks ago, if nobody's paying attention, Jacksonville has the breeziest path to the division title, to a division title of any of the contenders. And they've made me look smart there, even going out to Denver last week. Who told you that one, Gino? Did I tell you that? I saw you on social media, by the way, Gino, saying like, no one saw this coming. On this very show, I told you the Jags were going to beat the Broncos.
He said
man.
it.
Yeah, I mean, but you weren't serious. Come on, nobody. I mean, between us.
I think this is an upset special. Zaz and I both give this one our stamp of approval. Colts at home, Fat Phil Rivers. It is funny too that he's this fat old man and his natural throwing motion is just so fundamentally wonky that it's perfect. It makes him look extra old out there.
I love it.
Trying to it's great, except that it's embarrassing to any quarterback in his prime. Like, this guy is a viable option. What does that make me? I'm red in the face is what I am. Seahawks, Panthers +7. Your front runner in the mighty NFC South against the front runner in all the NFC right now at the time of this recording. Panthers at home +7, 42.5 is your total. Zaz, how say you?
Huge game for both these teams. The Panthers, if the Buccaneers lose their game, which is the Dolphins, the Panthers, they clinch the NFC South this weekend. And this way, they don't have to care about a matchup in Week 18 at the Buccaneers for the division. The Seahawks, on the other hand, number one, obviously, in the NFC is totally in play. I like the Seahawks here. I think the line at 7 makes sense to me. I know the Panthers are going to be a trendy pick, +7 at home. I like the Seahawks, though.
Zaz, I've got a question, a follow-up question for you that I think is important, maybe a higher end, bigger philosophical question. We talk about the Panthers, we talk about the Jaguars, and I'm curious to know, there are things, we have big cats, but why aren't there any big dogs?
Oh, yeah, there's no like pit bulls, you know? There's no team named the Pit Bulls or...
Well, there and you're right, because we have lions and we have tigers and even variations of tigers. We even go deep enough in Bengal tigers. It's not enough to just be a garden variety tiger. Yeah. I think it's because I think there are certain beasts on the planet Earth that are too loathsome to name your team after. Like, you couldn't be the Detroit tapeworms. Like, that would be nobody would get behind that, you know? And there's certain bugs, like you couldn't be the mosquitoes. Like, people wouldn't cheer for you if you were that. I don't think you could be the Dobermans. I think people are scared of those. And you certainly couldn't be the German Shepherds, right?
Couldn't be the Rottweilers.
The big dogs are not as lovable as their cat brethren. Is that a sufficient answer for you?
I think so. Yeah.
It's good. That's a good question. That's a very good question. Yeah. Underrated.
What other kind of dogs are there that are super big? What are those ones that look like a horse? They're so big, you know?
The Great Danes.
Yeah.
Great Danes.
Marmaduke.
You can go Danes.
It's like Marmaduke's not scary. Yeah, we can't do.
Well,
anyway, we only got 7 minutes 30 seconds. We got to get these game picks going.
All right, I say Seahawks. I say, as I've said all season long, if you like a team to win straight up, then you like them up to 7, and the Seahawks are -7, so I'm taking the Seahawks here. Bears, Niners, harkens for an old man like me, matchups back in the 80s in January. The Niners in this one laying 3, 52.5. 2 feel-good stories, and I said this: the Eagles are somehow flying under the radar. So too are the 49ers. Who you got here?
I think the Niners are going to finish first in the NFC.
Wow.
That happens if they win their final 2 games, because next week they host Seattle, which would mean that literally the Super Bowl goes through San Francisco. They would have home field advantage throughout the entire postseason and the Super Bowl. I don't think that has ever happened before. You've had Tampa win a home Super Bowl. They had to play on the road, though. You've had the Rams play a home Super Bowl. I believe they had to play on the road as well.
Right.
San Francisco has an opportunity to have every postseason game, including the Super Bowl, at home. They look as good, especially offensively, as anyone right now. I think the Bears are a really good team, but I don't think they're good enough to go on the road and win this game on Sunday night. I like San Francisco laying the 3.
Yeah, I like San Francisco as well. I mean, was there a cooler move all season? I mean, this millennium than throwing that deep shot that Caleb Williams did in OT, and before the ball hit its peak in the air, he had his hands in his pockets. I thought that was pretty cool stuff for a guy who's taken a lot of slings and arrows for the painted fingernails and crying after games and everything. I think that offsets everything to this point in his career.
I'm a big fan of Caleb Williams. I'm not surprised that, like, I understand he's not exactly yet what people think he's going to be, but it says a lot to me in a game like last week where he's not so great the first 3 quarters, but then the fourth quarter makes all the plays, makes all the big throws. That means something to me. I'd rather see that out of a young quarterback, just his second year, than a quarterback who plays really well in the first 3 quarters in year number 2 and then can't do anything for you in the fourth quarter. So I like what I see.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, again, the Niners slept on. I announced that I was off of the Niners as my NFC representative in Super Bowl 60 when Nick Bosa got hurt, and then Fred Warner got hurt on top of it, and I thought, well, that's it for that team. How far can they really take this thing? And Bob Saleh still somehow has that defense, keeping its head above water. And as you say, Kyle Shanahan once again proving that he can make everyone this side of Trey Lance work. I wonder what it means for Mac Jones in 2026 if he has some people trying to figure out how to get him onto their roster. I mean, and Sam Darnold, same thing, learning at the knee of KOC last year, and Danny Dimes until he got hurt. Man, you get around these QB whisperers. I think, again, like we've talked about previously, Zaz, this year, I think that there's a case to be made that the coach is more important than the guy at the trigger. Look at Ben Johnson, what he's done for Caleb Williams in year 2 there. Ravens, Packers laying 4.5 on the Lamar Jackson doubtful news. 40.5 is your total on this one. Jordan Love practicing, but we don't know if he's going to be out there. Malik Willis did look pretty good last week, though. How say you on this one?
Yeah, believe it or not, I think the Ravens wind up keeping this game close, even if it's Snoop Huntley. I'm not in love with the Packers right now. I think the Ravens can keep this game close. I don't like them winning it, but again, the total is just 39.5. So you're probably getting a low-scoring game here. So I like having the points in my back pocket. Give me the Ravens plus 4.5.
I think the Ravens, the big story was coming off of Sunday Night Football was why didn't they continue to ride Derrick Henry in a game that they would have won had they just continued to ride Derrick Henry. I think they do not make that mistake again here. What we saw from the Packers last week, and, I guess they can survive without Micah Parsons. That doesn't mean that that's the end of the story here. They are without their critical defensive piece now going forward. I think the Ravens go in there and get this one and force the Steelers' hand at least to win in Cleveland and maybe take it back to the banks of the Three Rivers for Week 18. Next up, Texans-Chargers, another huge one in the AFC. Zaz, Chargers laying 1.5, 39.5 is your total. I think this will be one of those rare SoFi games in which there are more fans of the Chargers than the road team here. I don't know how many Texans fans exist out in the wild or certainly in LA. Either way, how say you on this one?
I like the Texans, even though it's just 1.5. I like the Texans to win this game. Chargers offensive line, a little bit beat up here. This should be a defensive battle, should be a low-scoring game here. Texans are obviously surging of late. I like Houston in this spot. Give me the points.
I think the Texans are perhaps, if it's not the Jags, the Texans might be the best team in the AFC. This is the mistake a lot of people keep making. And I hear people, I think it's the talking heads that perpetuate this in the rolling football discussion, which is like, Josh Allen's got to win the Super Bowl this year, right? No, if Lamar's not going to be there and Patrick Mahomes, this is it. That headline, that storyline has consumed all of the oxygen, and it ignores how good the Broncos are and how good the Patriots are and how good the Texans are. I think the Texans, as I say, are playing the best of anybody in the AFC. Their obstacle is going to be having to win 3 road games unless the Jags stumble somewhere along the way. I think the Texans go in there and take care of this team. That pass rush against a debilitated offensive line, as good a job as Harbaugh and company have done in getting around the lack of those 2 tackles getting injured. I think it catches up with them against this mighty pass rush from the Texans. Texans win this one straight up. And with only a minute to go, Zaz, we don't have to bother with the Rams and Falcons. I think the Rams are going to win that one, right? We're not going to debate that, are we?
We're not going to debate that.
Okay, so they're going to win that one. And instead, let's talk about Tom Brady. Your thoughts on Tom Brady, because this is another storyline that is in front of me all the time, whether I care about it or not. Spoiler alert, I don't care about it at all. Tom Brady is getting better as a broadcaster.
Yeah.
How say you?
Yeah, I think he is.
Great.
Yeah,
he should. He does it every week. He should get better every.
Hold on a second. Are there people out there who think that when you've never done something before, that maybe a year or two later, after doing it every single week, you'll be better at the thing you've never done when you first started it? Is that like what we're talking? Yes, of course. Of course he's gotten better, and he's going to probably wind up being pretty good. So, yeah, I'm with you there, man.
He's fine. Yeah, you started him at the top of the mountain, and he got exposed. But, yes, he's getting a little bit better. One last thing, Zaz, is we do, when you were eating falafel, we do our tradition on Christmas Eve is breakfast for dinner. You can only have breakfast for dinner for the rest of your life or dinner for breakfast. Which one are you choosing?
Oh, breakfast for dinner. Come on. Yeah, like I can't wake up in the morning and have steak and potatoes. Like that's too heavy first thing in the morning. But French toast, pancakes, bagels in the evening, you could stereotype me. I love bagels and lox. I'll have that for dinner, no problem.
Delicious, a delicious effort from you, Jonathan Zaslow, Zaslow Show 2.0, Dan Lebitard Show, ESPN Radio, getting you right for college football and beyond. Gino Fuentes, drunk. Look at him. He can barely keep his head up there.
Hammered.
Soup Campbell going to go make himself some soup or I don't know what. Thanks for joining us here. Remember, subscribe on YouTube and wherever you find your podcast. We appreciate it. We'll be back on the other side of NFL Week 17 to try and make some sense of it for you and get you right for round 2 of the college football playoff. Until then, thanks so much and happy holidays. Not Merry Christmas anymore, but Merry Christmas for yesterday, to Zaslow's earlier point. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, thanks so much, my fellow football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.